Ever since watching the Inside outtakes for the first time, I thought my interpretation of the chicken song was the obvious one, but I haven't really seen anyone talk about it online. And I talked to a friend who's a huge Bo fan about it, and it seems he never thought about it either. So today I'm going to explain what I think the chicken song means, or at least what it means to me. If you have a different interpretation, I'd love to hear it in the comments. First off, I think it's important to know the context of the song. Just before he starts playing, Bo says,
I know the last song seemed like it should have been the last song, but this is actually the last song. I just want to say thank you for watching, if you watched this. I appreciate it. I really do.
I think it's very important to establish that this was intended to be the last song, to close off Inside after Goodbye. With that out of the way, I want to get into the lyrics of the song. The song starts with,
"The chicken wakes up like she does every morning to the sounds of her husband's screams."
Now what I think this is referring to is Bo himself, keeping consistent with the theme of all the songs in Inside. Bo is the chicken. He wakes up every morning to the fact he's a performer, he's famous. The husband's screams here are his fans asking for more content, asking Bo to come back, asking Bo to be funny and make more specials. Then the song continues.
"Sat in the dark on the eggs she is warming."
Then the chicken sitting in the dark is Bo continuing his ordinary routine, going about his day. I think especially during this year where he shot Inside, of waking up and going to his little room to go work on this special, repeating that same cycle. But also before that, when he was making new songs and specials back when he was active until 2016. One could say the eggs the chicken is warming are Bo's specials that he's just working on as something that he'll release soon, like an egg hatching, which would tie in with the specials being simply something that's part of Bo's routine, of his life of being a performer, and nothing beyond that.
She closes her eyes and dreams of walking to Memphis, becoming a dentist, anything but this.
But while doing so, he closes his eyes and dreams of leaving the performer life. Anything but this.
I mean, she likes her life as a mother and wife, but is that all she is? She stares out the window.
Bo likes his life as a performer and a comedian, but is that all he is? He's been performing ever since he was a kid.
I started performing very young, as a teenager, professionally, and as a comedian, what you're supposed to do, you're supposed to talk about what you know. And what I knew always was performing.
He doesn't know what it is to be something else, and all he wanted to do, back when he made Make Happy, was leave this life behind.
I know very little about anything, but what I do know is that if you can live your life without an audience, you should do it.
Because of how much it damaged his mental health.
5 years ago, I quit performing live comedy because I was beginning to have severe panic attacks while on stage.
He just didn't want to become someone who lays on his bed at the end of the day.
And just watch our life as a satisfied audience member.
Then the song continues with,
The very next morning, the chicken decides to make her escape, get a taste of freedom. She runs out the coop that her life's been confined to.
After that, Bo decides to finish his work, to stop being a performer with Make Happy, leave his performer life behind, ending his comedy career as he ends Make Happy, showing people what being someone who exists only to satisfy an audience is.
I hope you're happy.
He decides to make his escape.
Suddenly sees the thing she's only dreamed of. Just up ahead, gophers run through a meadow. Dear graves, birds sing. Her future is waiting right there for the taking.
He walks out of that room and he sees the thing he's dreamed of, an ordinary life, a life free from performing. His future is waiting right there for the taking.
There's just one thing. The chicken must first cross the road.
He has to commit. He has to cross the road. He has to actually do it. He has to actually leave this life behind.
A life of brighter days, a width of road away.
Just across the road, Bo can see a life of brighter days, a life of freedom and emotional stability, simply a width of road away, simply one metaphorical step away.
The road is gigantic, the chicken is little.
However, he realizes the road is too big. Leaving his life is too hard for him, it's all he knew. Abandoning all he has been is hard. The road is gigantic, and the chicken is little. He still goes though.
She moves ahead, left, right, left, right, left, right.
He moves ahead. He stayed 5 years without performing, and it feels final, and it's supposed to be final. However,
all of a sudden she stops in the middle, frozen in place by a pair of headlights.
Bo stops in the middle. After 5 years, he came back to make Inside. He stopped by the anxiety and loneliness of lockdown and the pandemic.
It's anyone's guess what then happened next, but most think she died.
After that, after making Inside, after making a goodbye, a final goodbye, it's anyone's guess. Did he achieve his happiness, or did the chicken die? Did Bo just get back to his cycle of wanting to perform because it's familiar and comfortable, or was he able to live life as he wanted, free from the confines of his upbringing and his life as a comedian?
But I think we ought to believe that she got to the other side. So that's why she did it.
I think we ought to believe that Bo got to the other side. So that's why Bo made Inside, to get to the other side, to have a goodbye, to put a nail in the coffin and leave this life that he loved so much but that also made him feel so suffocated and anxious behind. I think this interpretation works because of the placement of the song being at the end of Inside. Earlier in the outtakes, Bo had mentioned,
The thing that I'm writing about is an ending, so it's hard to end whatever this is.
It's the ending of an ending, a goodbye of him letting us know why he made Inside and what he hopes to achieve at the end of it, at the other side of the road. That other side of a road that we won't see, but that he'll experience, and that he wants his audience to think he made it, and that he's happy. I also feel like he refers to the stopping halfway through a few times, during Inside and the outtakes. The idea of trying to cross the road but stopping halfway through, like saying that he came back after 5 years.
I swore I'd never be back, and now I'm back on my feet. 5 years, still you, still me, still here.
And I didn't perform for 5 years. I spent that time trying to improve myself mentally. And you know what? I did. I got so much better that in January of 2020, I thought, you know what? I should start performing again. I've been hiding from the world, and I need to re-enter. And then the funniest thing happened.
That last clip as well I think has a double meaning, because you could say the funniest thing happened bit refers to the pandemic and how it made Bo not able to re-enter the world. But I interpret that line as Bo saying he was going to re-enter the world after getting better, but then he realized he wasn't better. He started to get worse, and he started to think of performing and trying to perform again.
I've been filming things for like a month now, and I don't really have anything that's even kind of close to usable yet. So I'm just hoping I can write or film something soon that's usable, or I'm gonna just stop and play PlayStation.
But anyway, getting back to my main point, he didn't just mention stopping as him getting back to performing after 5 years, but also how he seems stuck, and how he can't finish Inside, or be done with being a comedian, and say goodbye.
It's been many months now of working on this fucking thing, which is, a little longer than I thought it was going to be when I started. Most days I feel pretty good. It feels like I'm staying busy and it's been fun. And then other days, Like today, I just feel like I'm spinning my wheels, I'm wasting my time, and I've now committed myself to never finishing this thing and just being in this room until I fucking...
This sense that all of this is going to burst, and the fear of what will happen when it ends, when it hits the brick wall, and the other fear of never hitting the wall, of this feeling never ending, never slowing down, but rising forever like a shepherd's tone, an endless and pointless climb towards a terrible and dense nothing.
Time is still, passing. I've decided that I'm going to stop doing this. I've been trying to finish this special for many months now. I keep thinking that I'm done. I'll write an ending and I'll film an ending, and then I'll edit it and I'll watch it, and then I'll feel like I'm not done. I have to do something else. I feel like I'm waiting for some big idea that's going to tie it all together and make sense of it and satisfy me. I don't think that's going to happen. The more I wait for it, the more shitty I feel. I wanted to finish this thing before I turned 30, because the idea of turning 30 while still in this fucking room, I just wanted to avoid that.
I thought it'd be over by now, but I got a while to go. I'd give away the ending, but you don't want to know.
So I've been freaking out for a long time, thinking that I'm never going to finish this special and then I'm going to be working on it forever. And recently I've been feeling like, oh man, maybe I am getting close to done with this. And that has made me completely freak out, because if I finish this special, that means that I have to not work on it anymore, and that means I have to just live my life. I'm not going to do that, and I'm going to not finish the special. I'm going to work on it forever, I think. So I've been working on this special for a year now, which is a lot longer than I anticipated working on it.
I'm finished playing and I'm staying inside. It'll stop any day now. Any day now. Any day now.
All these clips show how he's clearly been very apprehensive and anxious and reluctant to give up being a performer, which I think is best exemplified by him leaving the room after Inside is done, only to realize he doesn't like the outside world and he wants to come back to the safety of the room, the safety of being a performer, the spotlight on him like the headlights of the car about to hit the chicken, freezing him in place as he tries to go back. However, as we cut from that and we see Bo smiling at the end of his special, I think we ought to believe that he got you.
The other side.
Just before I go, there's a couple of things I think are important to mention, but that I couldn't fit within the video. Firstly, the version of the chicken song in the Inside Deluxe album has wildlife noises at the end, because it's a version from a year after Inside, from when Bo already knew he'd made it to the other side. Or at least that's the interpretation I have, which I think is quite fitting. Secondly, I think it's interesting Bo mentions a road in Goodbye.
I'll see you when I see you. You can pick the street, I'll meet you on the other side.
Which I think could symbolize how we'd only ever see Bo again as audience members once he's already on the other side of the road, once he's not a performer anymore. Lastly, I want to say that I also think the interpretation that the song is the making of Inside and Bo's mindset during it is also just as valid as the interpretation I have, considering he does reference staring out the window and being in the dark, just going about his routine, which is something depicted in Inside quite often, as well as the fact that it does fit with the rest of what I said about him wanting to say goodbye with Inside, but always prolonging it. But I think that making it tie itself with Make Happy works quite well, because how he had a clear point in his life where he was supposed to have achieved this happiness and freedom, only to walk back from it and go and make Inside, another special after 5 years of not performing, stopping in the middle of the road. But anyway, that's all I have for today. Thanks for watching and stay inside.